What's going on, everybody? It's Royalty Crypto here, and today we will be taking a look at Zcash, which was basically the hottest altcoin in late 2025. I'll also be going over the overall crypto market as a whole and some interesting catalysts that could be driving the prices of these assets for the next couple of days. But before I get into all of that, guys, this is a brand new crypto channel, so I would greatly appreciate it if you could hit that like and subscribe button. Your support really does keep me motivated to keep bringing you guys daily crypto content. But alright, so let's take a look at Zcash. As you guys can see, we are down about 4.5% in the past 24 hours, and basically the entire crypto market has been taking a hit. Now, the reason why I believe this is taking place is because we have a very significant event coming up on Friday. As you can see here, the Supreme Court has scheduled its hearing for Trump's tariffs, and they are only giving this a 22% chance of being deemed legal. So if the courts end up saying that Trump's tariffs are illegal, the administration will have to refund $130 billion in previously collected tariffs. Now, of course, this is creating a lot of uncertainty for overall financial markets. So typically what happens in situations like this is we see a sell the rumor, buy the news event. So I wouldn't be surprised whatsoever if we actually see bearish price action for the overall crypto market leading into Friday, and then potentially a buy the news event regardless of the decision. Now, I don't necessarily know how this will end up playing out if these tariffs are deemed illegal, and it could end up being a disaster, as that is what Trump is expecting. However, at the same time, if we no longer have to worry about tariffs, the overall financial market might actually like that decision, because as you guys know, tariffs have been dragging the prices of crypto and stocks down basically since they were announced back in March of 2025. So this is undoubtedly something to keep your eyes on, and I would expect the worst, guys. Expect us to have a decent pullback going into Friday. But alright, let's get back to the Zcash chart. As you can see, we are currently trading at $475, and that equates to a $7.8 billion market cap. Our 24-hour trading volume is still relatively strong, sitting at over 500 million in the past 24 hours, which is a strong indicator that people are still very excited about this project. One thing that you should be aware of when you are investing into Zcash is you aren't necessarily getting this project at a discount like you could potentially be getting with a lot of other altcoins in the space. This is because just a couple of months ago, Zcash was sitting at $48, and we are up 10x from those levels, even though we have had a decent pullback from the all-time highs that we set in late 2025. Now, I will say that I still do think that Zcash has a fantastic narrative going into 2026, considering that it is one of the hottest layer 1 projects, and it also has an emphasis on privacy. Privacy did end up getting very hot last year because of Zcash, and other coins like ICP also saw significant pumps during that time. So narrative wise, I am very bullish on this project, to say the very least, and if you feel the same way, and if you think that Zcash could truly gain some traction in 2026, accumulating at these levels could be a decent option for you. Now, in my opinion, I would be dollar cost averaging rather than doing a lump sum buy, because I could undoubtedly see this project pulling back to around $300 to even $200 at some point if we do get some bearish momentum in the market. However, guys, I am very bullish on 2026 as a whole because we have so many positive catalysts coming up. Some of these catalysts include that we are going into an expansion phase for the business cycle, and typically when rates are being cut and we see quantitative easing going into effect, it is good for risk on assets like Zcash. And we also have a new Fed chair being appointed in May of 2026, so that could also bring a new narrative and a lot of hype into risk on assets in the coming months. If I had to give a price prediction, I would say that I could see this coin getting anywhere from a $50 billion market cap to as high as a $100 billion market cap. Now, I know that that is a wide range, but predicting altcoin price action is very difficult. But if this coin does gain traction, I could easily see this coin getting to as high as 100 billion. We've seen other layer ones like Cardano get to as high as those levels, and of course we've seen Solana and Ethereum smash above those levels in the past. So in my opinion, I think that that is a realistic outcome for Zcash as long as it remains one of the hottest layer ones for this year. But alright guys, let's take a look at a couple of pieces of news regarding Zcash. As you can see here, both Arthur Hayes and the Winklevoss twins have announced that they are making significant Zcash Zcash positions because they are expecting the privacy beta to continue in 2026. Both of these people are very influential investors on Wall Street, so the fact that they are making their positions known is a bullish catalyst in my opinion. Also, you can see here that Grayscale Zcash Trust has seen a massive surge in management fees, which signals increased institutional participation in Zcash. And in my opinion, whenever we see institutions getting involved into crypto projects, that is a very bullish sign because, of course, they aren't just buying everything that they see, and they are doing extensive research on what they expect these projects to be worth in the near future, and that gives me a lot of hope that Zcash will continue to appreciate in value. Also, Zcash has some pretty important upgrades that are taking place right now. As you can see here, they are working on a layer 2 rollup, which is going to add smart chains on top of Zcash, which is of course going to expand their utility beyond just payments and DeFi. This could end up being a very bullish catalyst for Zcash, especially if people are actually taking advantage of these smart contracts, because the more people that are using a layer 1, the better it is in terms of price action, in my opinion. Also, you can see here that they are currently working on an upgrade which would significantly scale the shielded transactions and continue to work on post-quantum security to future-proof the network. This is of course very bullish in my opinion because a lot of people have long worried about what will happen once quantum computers are up and running, because people have theorized that they could potentially crack Bitcoin seed phrases with quantum computing. So the fact that Zcash is thinking ahead and starting to quantum proof their network is of course a very bullish thing in terms of security. But alright, let's take a look at the overall crypto market briefly. As you can see here, we are currently sitting at a 49 out of 100 on the Crypto Fear and Greed Index. However, I do expect that once this updates later today that this will be down to around a 42 or 43. You can see that the recent pump in crypto has caused a lot of greed to return to the markets. However, we are still sitting in a somewhat fearful time, but this is a good sign in my opinion, and I really do hope that this will push back up to the extreme greed levels at some point in 2026. Once we do get to those levels, guys, I will be personally taking profits on crypto, and I will let you guys know when that does get hit, because I do believe that when you see extreme greed in the market, that is when you need to be taking profits. But the opposite of that also applies, and that is what I was preaching in my videos for the past couple of months, and that is whenever you see extreme fear, that is the time to be accumulating these crypto assets. I think that if you consistently inverse trade compared to what the average population is doing, you will be rewarded in the long term, and I don't think that that will be any different for 2026, so I will continue to talk about this index on my channel in basically all of my videos. Now, I wanted to take a look at the overall price of Bitcoin because I don't believe that we will see much bullish momentum for Zcash unless we see another leg up for Bitcoin. As you can see here, I am currently looking at the 2-week chart, and you can see that we have quite a bit of long leverage liquidations beneath us. This does make me feel like we could potentially see a pullback for Bitcoin in the next couple of days, alongside the news that I talked about earlier with the Supreme Court's decision. Now, if that is the case, I could see us liquidating all of these leveraged long positions and heading back down to around 85,000 for Bitcoin. That is of course not guaranteed, and it would be very bullish if the bulls can hold these support levels and actually stay above $90,000. But this is undoubtedly a scenario that we should be keeping in mind in the short term. So if this does take place, guys, don't freak out, because this move does not necessarily mean that we are going to remain bearish for an extended period of time. The reason for that is because when we zoom out on the 3-month, there is still an absurd amount of short leverage positions open above us compared to below us. Whenever you see such an imbalance on this chart, the price of Bitcoin typically trades in the direction that will liquidate the most amount of people. So I could see a situation playing out that once we do get past this somewhat bearish news with the Supreme Court decision, that we actually start to pump on the price of Bitcoin and start to liquidate all of these traders. Now, this is a recipe for a potential short squeeze, so a scenario could play out where we end up quickly liquidating all of these people and getting back up to around $118,000 for Bitcoin. If that were the case, then I believe that the 4-year halving cycle narrative would be basically invalidated at that point, and I think that a lot of FOMO would return to the market. So yeah, if you guys are feeling a bit bearish right now, definitely keep the medium term in mind, because I think that it is more likely than not not that we will see another leg up for Bitcoin, and that is when you can reasonably expect to see altcoins start to perform. But alright guys, that's going to do it for this video. I hope that you enjoyed the content, and I hope that you are staying strong through this bearish period, because of course it does affect everybody mentally, but as long as you aren't making irrational decisions based on fear, then you're going to be okay in the long run. But alright guys, have a fantastic night, and I'll be talking to you tomorrow. Peace.